You're on.
Awesome. All right, so we looked at how to set it up, and then we finally looked at what it looked like, what the heck we were setting up. So now we're going to go back in and kind of tweak that. Inevitably, right, they just had to have a pool initially, and now they go, oh, you know what, don't care. Changed my mind. So we can go back in and tweak that. Or maybe their loan approval came back with a little bit different amount, or whatever. We just want to tweak it for whatever reason. One of the examples, questions I got on the break was, what if I forgot to check the little box to get carbon copies? And now I need to get carbon copies. How do I edit? So all of those things will be done through the client record. If you're on this page, you can just click their name. But the great majority of the time, you're not going to be on this page and immediately need to make changes. It'll be later. So you'll go up into the Contacts tab. And again, just presume you open Fusion, click right on the word Contacts up there. And then you'll see all your people. And again, if you had any people, they call them prospects in Tempo and contacts in Fusion, but they're people. All your pipples are here alphabetically by last name. So again, you can potentially see people here that you added through Tempo, but it does not work in the reverse of that. If I add a contact here, I will not see them in Tempo. Okay? So what client did I work with? Elvis. Where would he be? Down in the P's. Just making sure you were listening. Say that again?
Can you change it?
Can I change what?
To like date or some other?
You could. You can click any of these column headers, just like when you're sorting properties, you can sort by that. I leave my client records pretty empty. I just put name and email. But I could sort by phone number or whatever else. You can add columns and take columns out. So I could put in birth dates and sort by birth date or whatever else. That customizing the grid is part of that Fusion Advanced class. So that you can then sort by any field. Okay. Let's see here if I can make it go down to the P's. And then to edit the contact record, I'm just going to click anywhere on their name. So either their first or last name. It doesn't matter which of the two. You just click on their name. This status active, not related at all to properties, only related to auto notification. So they are actively receiving auto notifications. This person is not, because it doesn't say active. Okay? So now that I've clicked on Elvis, I have, again, a reference to his name there, so I'm sure which client record I'm on. Off to the far right, I can again go back where I just was and view that contact website or client gateway page. I can see what's been done sort of in an overview here. There are 2 different notes on his properties, 1 favorite, 1 possibility, 1 reject. Overall, he has 2 searches, so this grand total would be relevant to all of his searches. Do you notice something different between these 2? One's red, one's green. Why do you think that is?
Inactive search.
It's set up, but he's not receiving anything. It's inactive. This one's set up, and he's receiving stuff. Okay, so again, color coding to try to make it kind of simple. And then the menus are fairly simplistic. The search info, anything to do with this one search, I've got it called Area 35. So you can see there's the search settings, the criteria, to edit the criteria, to email the link to that search or delete this search from that client, break it apart. They don't want to get anything about those kind of properties anymore. Each search will have its own little controls underneath it. Okay. Under search settings is where we were a moment ago when we first set them up. Turn on or turn off the notification for up to 180 days. You'll not see anything about reverse prospecting. That's beta something or other. I can call it something different. I can save as, kind of make a copy of this search. So let's say they can't decide about a pool. This one is currently looking for with a pool, right? If I change their criteria, I'm venturing off just a little, by the way. So if I change the criteria now to say no pool, what happens to the properties that they got before? They go away. They no longer meet their criteria. So even if they had categorized them or made notes, they're gone forever now because they no longer meet the criteria. Okay? Before it was only pool, now I'm looking at only no pool. Okay, so if I wanted to save as, I could call it, excuse me, I could call it this no pool, right? Can't type, but no poo. We don't want any poo. There's that character limit. We'll just take a space out and make that a little more appropriate. Okay, so now I would have two searches. 90.9% the exact same thing, only one is looking with a pool and then one is looking without a pool. Same price range, same shape, all of that other stuff.
You saved pool, so you're saving the original.
No pool,
Okay.
depending on what it was, that's right. Okay, pros and cons now, I do have to kind of think about that because I'm out of spaces, out of characters.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
Okay, so if you, that's a very valid thing to change.
okay, so two different things. If they don't care, because they are firm now that they don't want a pool, they got to thinking about the cost of the electricity to run the pump all the time and having to skim the leaves out of the pool, that would turn me off right away. I'd be off the list of pool owners just because I'd have to skim the pool, all the leaves. Okay, so again, I can change the frequency. They don't want it ASAP anymore, they want it once a day now. I could just alter that here. I can also add in another email or switch which email it's going to. Manually type something else here, you know, blah, blah, blah at gmail.com. Also, this is where you would turn on or turn off your copy. So if it would was initially set up to not get a carbon copy, check the box. Now I am getting carbon copies of that. Okay, makes sense? Clear as mud? All right.
So Marilyn, if we wanted to see the client gateway that the client sees, I guess we can't do that? We just go in here and we see kind of the results? Like
You
on
can.
this page?
You can. If you click right here on this link that says View Contact Website,
Okay.
that's where we went before break. And again,
And that should
once
be
I go
set up.
in, I'm looking at the agent
Right.
version, but they'll be looking at the client version. So when I view details, I'm seeing days on market and so forth,
Yeah,
like
but
an agent. But
I just want to
this,
see what their favorites are, because I want to know what properties they want to see.
right here, where it's got
Yeah, that's
smiley
the
with a
simplest
check
way.
is favorite, smiley with a question mark is possibility. I guess he's not smiling, straight mouth with a question, and then rejects. So if I click right on that one, it'll show me what that one property is.
Yeah, okay.
So here's that one that they really love. Okay, so I don't necessarily have to open their gateway page. Okay, same thing with notes. If I just click the little notes icon right there, I'll see what their note was. This is where notes would appear. I put very detailed notes on all my samples, as you can see. Okay, so you can fairly quickly do that. I can also add my own note and say, oh, well, that's great, glad you like the pool, it's awesome, or I'll check with them about the carpet allowance, or whatever it might be. Again, it is not instant messaging. I don't get an email, I don't get any kind of alert. It's just conversation posted that we see whenever we happen to see it on their web page. Okay. So now back at the top, you can see I've got the property results. If I click back on Elvis Presley, I'm back in his contact record. Or again, I could go to contacts, find him on the list, click his name. Criteria is where you go to change the criteria. So again, if I wanted to totally switch over to no pool, I very easily can do that. And like I mentioned, I'll automatically see, excuse me, my mouse is taking over here. I'll see my polygon that I drew. One other thing to kind of know about the polygons is you can draw multiple shapes, so I could have circles and squares and polygons all over the map. Okay, so I just happen to have one polygon, but I could. Again, maybe the price range changed. They can go up to $375 now. Maybe, again, now they don't want a pool, so I would come down here and say no to pool, thus eliminating all the previous results completely, right? So once I click save here, I've now overridden completely and altered every result that they had before to meet all the new criteria. Okay? Unless I save as new, I give it a new name. Does this screen look familiar? It's the same basic setup, all the steps.
Marilyn, if we go
Yes.
through if we go through this process, they're going to have a gateway. And the reason I'm saying that is I've always thought in the past that they were just getting an email with search results and they could click on the link and open it. But you're saying if we just go through this, they will get a gateway.
It creates the gateway for them.
Yes.
They do get a link where they can just click and look at the buyer full if that's all they want to do. But they can also click the link that they were initially supplied to go into their
And it's automatic.
gateway.
You didn't click something along the way that said
That little checkbox that said turn on auto notification, remember that screen?
Yes.
Just below that was set up a contact website or just send them regular emails.
Oh.
That's where you differentiate between what setup you want.
Okay.
Okay?
So I'm trying to make
So let me make it.
what I do.
This means gateway, and that's the default. This is just send them emails, but don't set up a website.
So that was
Still
my-
same kind of delivery, ASAP, all day, every day, but there's no web page, there's no favorites, possibilities, note making, all of those functionalities don't exist, but they're still getting the exact same kind of notifications, the exact same property results, just a slightly different.
And it's a one
delivery.
So that is the option. If you're in Tempo doing it you just email the listings way as opposed to the gateway.
Correct. In both systems you can do either the gateway, here they refer to it as contact website, or standard just email messages. And then again, your frequency is either ASAP, once a day, twice a month, whatever you want.
And you can.
I call it hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so that's where you would go with the old way to do it without the gateway, to change it to frequency, change the frequency on that search.
Frequency is something separate. Frequency is your ASAP delivery, your daily or monthly. So you would want to change either or both potentially. So standard just email messages or create the website also.
Can you change an existing search?
Change if they're getting a gateway or not getting a gateway.
They're not getting a gateway.
It's not currently set up. They don't have a gateway yet.
Right, but if
You
you
just simply click the
change-
little button and switch over.
To gateway. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to switch it to gateway, you can change the frequency.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, they're exclusive to each other. So I can have ASAP or I can have once a day, and then it's not related to whether they do or don't have a gateway. It's what they have, and then the next choice is how often they get it.
Search without going into giving them the option of.
Yeah, like I say, you can set up what they have. That's one choice. Your second category of things to set up is how often they get notified on whatever thing you set up for them. Whichever way that you specified, the website, gateway website, or notifications. Making sense?
Yes.
All good? And so back at the client record one last time, email will send the link to their most recent property results. I don't have any because I just sent them. Sometimes it works out that even within minutes of me creating a gateway, there's some new listing or a price change or something. Delete just breaks this search apart from that client. The search is still saved. The client is still saved. They're just not receiving notifications about this search.
So it's kind of a never option.
Well, yeah, if they change their mind and don't want to get, sometimes that happens too, right? Oh, I just have to live in Kingwood, just have to live in Kingwood. Hey, you know what? I think Clear Lake sounds nice, right? They're never going to use this criteria again. So if I just hit delete, it separates the two. The search is still saved over here in my search manager. My contact's here, and they can just have another search with more relevant content or criteria. Right down here below it says add new search. So I can just go put, okay, fine, you want to live in Clear Lake, and you can only afford 250 to 350 and whatever else. Okay, again, we can have an unlimited number of searches and people on each record. It's 11:30, it's time for her to go. No, it's fine.
It didn't start out like that, but
The clock up there is finally ready. They're finally correct.
during class, sorry.
I am glad that you have a thing to go do that relates to your business that it allows you to leave, so no worries. You're very welcome. Just let me know if you need something. Okay, so all of those options make sense so far? All right, so down in the next section, I can't see one of my scroll bars for some reason. It's just not gonna cooperate. I can't scroll down. Sometimes sometimes when I connect to a projector, it argues. So hypothetically, I scrolled, and here's save property info. So again, just another way to see what they did put as a favorite or a possibility or a reject or whatever note they made or I may have made. And then further down, we get into their website info. Another way to view their website, same as this link up there, exact same thing. They forgot it. Oh, that's what that link was? Yeah, no, I deleted that. So you could click right here and email that link to them again so that they were reminded, here's your web page, or you can categorize stuff. Or again, if you didn't set it up that way initially. That's right.
And sometimes their desire changes.
Correct. Exactly. So you always have the flexibility to kind of do what you need to do. If that's not how you initially did it, there's always options to change that. This also shows you the last time that they've logged in, which is helpful. You could have emailed them something, you know, a million different properties a day, and they've never logged in. So that's good for you to know and call them and say, did you want to look at the properties that I was emailing you, or what was the deal there? So they may not have gotten the link, so you can email the link again. And then their personal info is just what you think it might be, just a review of their name and phone numbers, emails, whatever else you may have put in. And then the email history is they got this message on that date, this message on that date, this message on that date. So it's kind of just a running tally of what all they've received. And you can click the links to view what they got that day. Okay. Up at the very top, let me just, again, I'm a little OCD-ish, so let me put them all back the way I found them. Okay, so at the very top, this little X is to delete your person. Delete is different than an X. Delete here does what again? Just divorces the two. That's right. It separates the search from the client. The search exists, the client exists, they're just not receiving auto notifications. If I click the X up here and delete the client, that person is gone forever. Their search still exists, but there's no person that it's attached to, so nobody's receiving emails anymore. Okay? This little pencil and paper is to edit that client. So again, maybe I want to go in and put a birthday or change their email or whatever else I want to add onto their client record. I can do that from there. You can print and email your contact list and or individual clients if that's what you want to do. So that's what those icons are for. Okay? All that.
Is there a way to go back and name a search and sign it to a client if you've missed that first little pop-up window?
To rename a search?
Kind of, and assign it to a client.
If you have saved a search, but you forgot because it's stupid, because the button says save and you think that's what you need to, but you forgot to click notification instead. Is that your question?
No, forgot that first window where you would put in, you named it, and then you, if you only named the top one, it would only go to you, and if you put your client's name, it goes in the both.
Yes. If you, in your search manager, if you go to search and then search manager, that's a list of every search you have saved, whether it's attached to a client or not attached to a client. Okay, so all my ones that have peoples attached to them are listed here first. Okay, if I click this, I can do what I was doing before, edit the search criteria. If I click his name, I go where I was just a moment ago to edit his contact record. If I forgot and went, oh gosh, this was supposed to be attached to Elvis and I didn't do that, you simply click that search name, and then up here where it says save search, it gives you a chance to do it again. So notification settings, to switch it from something saved for me to something attached to a client. And remember your all-important little bitty itty bitty checkbox. Turn on that notification, assign it to an existing or new contact. And that window again should look pretty familiar. I've made you look at that like 9 times, so. Okay. And also just one last little bit of information in the search manager. If you check the box or boxes by searches, you can delete them from here as well. So if I want to delete searches, in the search manager, I can do that. I'm going to delete a person, I'm going to delete the search attached to them. So if I delete Homes in 7705450 from Laura Bush, she'll still have this. I'll still have my record for Laura Bush. Again, my amazing client list. Don't be jealous. Check the ones that you need to get rid of. Come here to this blue Tools button, not the Tools tab. Again, they try to trick you, but the blue button, delete the searches. Okay, so 6 of one, half dozen of the other. A couple of different ways to delete a search.
So Marilyn, when you hit manage searches, it opened right up. The majority of the time when I do that, it just cycles and cycles and cycles and never opens.
If you click on Search Manager, your Search Manager never opens?
That's well, 2/3 of the time it will never open. Even if I'll let it cycle for hours.
That's slightly inconvenient.
Very inconvenient.
I've not ever experienced that. I don't know if that's a known issue. I do know the more saved searches you have, the longer it'll take to sync that back.
I don't have that many.
But it also should not ever make, it shouldn't be long enough that you feel like it's never.
No, sometimes it's.
So it could be a maybe a browser setting issue, something like that. I would probably recommend that you call the support number.
Okay.
I know that you love calling toll-free numbers. Okay. You can start with our HAR MLS department and see if they can offer you any. I just don't know of that issue.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it isn't a known issue with a real quick fix.
Okay,
I'm just not aware of that. So.
The same problem, not necessarily in this function, but in the property search function. where
Yes.
It just sits there, and that's why I don't like Fusion.
Yes. When you click search, and you're waiting for the drop down menu, single family rental, whatever, it never gets there.
And when you're
I use it for property desk, so I need the answer, I need it like just 2 minutes.
when you first log in, it does have to sync whatever you have maybe created and saved in Tempo with Fusion. So that will account for a small amount of the delay, but it shouldn't be more than 30, 40. I've got a zillion and one, if you'll notice. I never delete searches apparently since 1990 something when I first started teaching. So I've got a lot of searches here, and it doesn't take any more than 30, 45 seconds at the most for that menu to appear when I first log in. So I would,
For a house, I get the same thing.
that's what I was saying. I would definitely give them a call because it sounds like it might be a browser setting or a computer setting or something like that.
Well, I bought a whole new computer to go in the browser for
Is
Fusion.
Firefox?
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the settings are appropriate for Fusion. New browsers rarely come updated and set to specific programs. They come generic. And they were up to date when the computer was made, which is usually quite a ways back from when you've bought it. So start with calling HAR, like I say, talk to someone in MLS, and then if you need to, also the support toll-free numbers available. That's dedicated HAR support. It's not just the generic Fusion help desk for the entire universe, though there is still usually a wait. Sorry. Okay. So that basically, in a nutshell, is the client gateway. Auto notification, contact websites, called a couple of different things. Y'all asked really great questions along the way, but do you have other questions for me?
I have a question. When you recommend a property, will it notify the client that you recommended that property? Just because when I first started using this, it did, and then like I feel like something's changed where it doesn't prompt me to push out a email to them to let them know that I'm notified.
It doesn't notify them of the category other than to kind of color code it and feature it at the top of their list. It doesn't send a separate email saying, you know, this property meets your criteria and your agent recommended it.
Okay.
It's just, here are your property results. And then if they look at it online, they see that kind of banner. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Marilyn, I just put the app on my iPad recently, so I haven't done much exploring with it. But
The Fusion app or the HAR app?
I just put the HAR app on.
Okay.
So there's a separate app for Fusion and
Yes.
Tempo on this?
Yes. Tempo you just go into like you would normally do on a computer. Open your browser and go to har.com, log in, and go straight to Tempo and it would work. Fusion works with Flash, so it requires a special app and to trick in your iPad into thinking it's okay to use Flash. So Fusion Experience is what that would be. It's free, but if you download Fusion Experience, then enter through that app, it'll look just like we're used to on a computer. Yeah. HAR.com's app, completely separate. We wrote and we maintain that, and it's Houston HAR specific, based on GPS mostly. That's its primary driving force. The Tempo and Fusion software, both our platforms come from CoreLogic's MarketLink, so they're three separate things, really. All of them accessible, just all three work different. And then you'll get the same properties in the end, but different methodologies for searching for them. I should stop talking now. I'm confusing people more than helping.